to the fruit, more bass than Bootsy Collins. You versus me, that's like Ali versus Foreman. God's act.
Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Tyler and welcome back to another Call of Duty gameplay commentary. But in today's video, I have a brand new life story for you guys, something that happened to me when I was out in LA. I figured you guys would enjoy it. But before I get into the story, I just wanted to mention that I'm going to be streaming, and from now on, pretty much from this point on, I think I'm going to be trying to do daily streams. So if you guys want to be sure to check out the streams, it's going to be first link in the description of pretty much every video from here on out. Because I'm going to try and be streaming every time after I upload a video. It seems that's when I get the most viewers in my stream. The majority of you guys are able to come and watch. But if you guys want to come chill with me, I'm probably going to be playing some World at War tonight, and I might actually end up getting on BO2 zombies and playing like with some fans and some people from the stream. So if you guys want a chance to play some zombies or like maybe play World at War with me, then go ahead and check the first link in the description. It'll take you directly to my Twitch stream. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into the story. So pretty much I just wanted to share this story with you guys that ended up happening to me, like I said, when I was in LA a few months ago. And I kind of wanted to explain to you guys how I ended up getting weed when I was out in California, because it wasn't like as easy of a process as you would quite imagine. So the first day that I ended up getting out in LA, I ended up putting on my Snapchat story, you know, anybody in the LA area who can get me weed or who has weed. I was trying really hard to find someone with a plug out there, and at first I just couldn't find anybody at all. And then one of our friends who was staying at our house, he ended up having a plug who came through. So the first or second night that I was there, I ended up buying only like an eighth of weed, just a little bit of weed, primarily because I wasn't sure how much I was going to be smoking when I was there. You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to smoke all day long whenever I wanted to, you know, that kind of thing. So by the time I ended up finishing off this eighth, it had only been about 2 days, because every time I would go and smoke, you know, I would usually end up smoking with Dutton or like smoking with someone else, because it's not always fun to smoke by yourself, especially if you're in like such a chill house like that or such a cool environment like that where you have a bunch of other friends who smoke weed as well. So we pretty much blew through this eighth of weed in like a day or two, and we weren't able to get any weed from the first plug that we had or the first contact that we had gotten when we were in LA, because she ended up working at like a weed dispensary and you had to be 21 or older to go in there. It wasn't really like a formal dispensary, but it was like an Amsterdam style coffee shop is how she explained it. But either way, you had to be 21 years old to go into the physical store and like buy weed, and none of us were actually 21, and the first time that she ended up bringing us weed, she came to our house, so like it wasn't a big deal. So like I was saying, we were kind of struggling to find some weed, and all of us really wanted to smoke that particular night or that night, because we didn't really have any other plans. We didn't have any plans to go out and do anything. I think Luna was asleep that night or like talking to his girlfriend, something like that, and so pretty much nobody had any plans of anything to do, so we were just kicking it, chilling at the house all night, and what better way to spend that time than smoking weed? And now since we didn't have any weed and it was getting kind of late, it was around 11 p.m. at night, we decided we would go down and walk down Hollywood Boulevard and just see what would happen. So me, Dutton, Ryan, and I believe Josh, all four of us ended up going out, walking down the street from the house and heading on down to Hollywood Boulevard to go try and find some weed. And essentially our plan was we were just gonna walk around, because I know there are like homeless people and like other people who just stand around on Hollywood Boulevard and try and like offer you weed. And you know, I wasn't really trying to buy from anyone like that, like who would just randomly offer me for weed. Our main plan was just to walk around, and if we saw people smoking weed, we would just ask them, you know, hey man, do you know where anywhere I could get some weed, or like, do you know where you got that weed? Basically, we were just trying to find anybody who had a plug who wasn't like any sort of sketchy in any way. So our whole little group ended up walking down to Hollywood Boulevard, and we spent about an hour and a half walking around, kind of going back and forth, and we had been offered by a few like random, definitely homeless people and like kind of crackhead type people if we wanted to buy weed or if we were looking for weed. And obviously like we weren't trying to buy weed from anyone like that, just because that shit can be kind of sus, you know, you never know what they're gonna do, you never know what their intentions are. So we continued to walk around, and pretty much anybody I saw walking down the street, I mean, you walk down Hollywood Boulevard, you'll see people smoking weed left and right, so pretty much anybody I was walking past who seemed like slightly cool, who was smoking weed, I would just ask him, you know, hey dude, do you have anywhere like I could get weed, or you know, a plug or anything like that? And for the most part I was doing the majority of the talking, you know, because it was kind of me who mainly wanted it, so I would just kind of go straight up to people who I saw smoking and be like, yo dude, do you know anywhere where I can get weed? And so after about an hour and a half of walking around, you know, we asked a few people didn't really know or just said no, you know, and that's cool. I'm not trying to like bother somebody to get some weed, it's not that big of a deal to me. But we started heading back towards the house. We'd walked all the way down the Hollywood Boulevard strip, and we were starting to head back towards our house. Like we turned around and started coming back after we walked down the strip for about an hour, and on our way back we ended up seeing this dude just straight up smoking a bowl on the sidewalk. So we were like, yo, do you know anywhere where we can get weed? And he basically just tells us to go over to this dispensary. I think it was called like the Green Leaf Dispensary or something like that. It was right off Hollywood Boulevard, and he was pretty much directing us to there, telling us, you know, you can go in there, you don't really need an ID or like need a med card or anything like that. And I was kind of skeptical about it, plus it was like 11:30 or close to midnight at this point, so like, you know, I wasn't able to go into a dispensary. Majority of them at that time are closed anyway, but we kind of had some like high hopes for this, so we decided to try and find the dispensary. The guy said it was only like a block or two away, so we started heading in the direction that he sent us. We went exactly where he told us to go, and we just could not find it whatsoever, so we ended up heading back to the main street of Hollywood Boulevard and like back the direction that we were originally going, back towards the house. We get back onto Hollywood Boulevard and we walk like a block down the street, and we end up coming up in front of this like jam-packed nightclub. And so I look over to Dutton and Ryan and everybody, and I'm like, look, I bet I can find some weed over here at this nightclub. Like, it's a nightclub, you know, people are here to party, there's gotta be someone with weed around here. So we're kind of going back and forth out in front of this nightclub, like looking around and stuff, and we ended up seeing this dude who was smoking some weed. So I asked him like, yo, do you know anywhere I can get any weed or anything like that? So immediately after I asked this guy for weed, or like asked if he knew anywhere I could get weed, I hear somebody else from behind me say, yo dude, I heard you were looking for weed. And so our little group kind of turns around and we just see this dude in this ridiculous velvet jacket. Like, it was an all red, just kind of like really nice material, long velvet jacket. And I mean, this dude literally looked like a straight pimp, like fucking the pure definition of a pimp. But he didn't look like he was an old guy or anything. He looked like he was around our age. He definitely wasn't homeless. He didn't seem like a sketchy character or anything like that. He didn't really seem like a sketchy person. And like, usually when you talk to somebody, you can kind of get an understanding of how they are as a person, you know? Or at least I can. I can usually sense how the person is or how they're gonna act pretty quickly. So this guy seemed super chill, and he was like, yeah, I heard you guys were looking for some weed. And we were talking with him, just walking. Like, we went around the corner from the club, that way we weren't in front of all these different people. And we ended up walking like a half a block down the street towards this little parking lot thing, you know, our whole little group and this dude. And the guy with the velvet jacket, he had one friend with him, and they both end up just sparking up this blunt and passing it back and forth, and then they started passing it around our whole little group. So we were like walking down the street, just smoking a blunt, about to buy some weed. And so we kind of just get out of sight from the whole front of the club and everything. I mean, it wasn't like an alleyway or like anything way off of the distance or like way out of the way around nobody, but it was just like a half a block away, right around the corner from where the club was. So I end up giving this dude like 50 bucks, and he gives me around 7 grams. He gave me close to like a quarter of weed. And so right after we end up talking or finishing up talking to this dude, you know, after I get my weed, he has the money, all that situation, these two BMW i8s like pull up next to us, and they were trying to find some weed too. They were asking the guy who we just bought weed from, you know, do you know anywhere where there's a dispensary around here? And so the guy that we just bought weed from like leaves us and starts talking to these dudes in the BMWs, and he's basically just saying, you know, all the dispensaries around here are closed. If you want any weed, you're gonna have to end up either getting it from me or from another plug. Plug is the source at this point in time. And so as this dude was like talking to the guy in the i8, you know, we ended up passing this blunt back and forth a couple more times and giving it back to the guy, you know, and separating our ways. We exchanged numbers and whatnot in case any of us needed weed when we were in LA again. And so immediately once we ended up getting this weed, we just walked down the street like another block, and I really wanted to just roll up a joint and smoke, because everybody else walking down Hollywood Boulevard was just smoking weed openly. Nobody cared at all. So I really wanted to smoke, and I wanted to feel that opportunity myself. But the problem is, in California, you have to be 21 to basically buy lighters, rolling papers, like any sort of tobacco type product or weed. So it's really shitty and really annoying. So right after I ended up getting this weed, or after we ended up getting this weed, I didn't have my rolling papers with me. I didn't have a lighter with me or anything like that. So I ended up walking back down Hollywood Boulevard like another block, still going the same direction towards our house. The first dude I saw smoking a joint, I just asked him like, yo, do you have a rolling paper I could borrow? And immediately, you know, he gave me one. So we ended up going around the corner of the building where the guy gave me the rolling paper and just walking like half a block down that street and going right into this little parking lot. And I ended up sitting down on these stairs, rolling up a little joint, you know, and walking straight down Hollywood Boulevard, just smoking this joint. And I know I recorded a video and put it on my Snapchat story. I think I have it saved in my memories. If I do, I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here in this video so you guys can see it. But it was just me and everybody basically just walking down Hollywood Boulevard, just smoking a joint hella casually. Nobody cared at all. It was probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever had to deal with or like do in my entire life. You know, never in my life did I ever think I'd be able to just casually walk down the street, walking past street performers, police, like all kinds of different official people, like regular civilians, just smoking a joint and nobody saying anything to me. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this story. If you guys did at any point, please be sure to leave a like down below. It always means a lot to me. And if you guys want to come chill in the stream with me tonight, chill with my friends, the link is going to be top link in the description as usual. And you guys know the deal. Most creative, most unique comment is going to get pinned at the top of the comment section. But again, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. You guys know I love each and every one of you. Thanks again so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.
I got more keys than Alicia. These niggas be talking police. I took take your hoe, then release her. I used to trap out a Regal, 200,000 on my wrist. I thought it all was a fantasy, 200,000 on my wrist. Lord, I hope it don't vanish, 200,000 on my wrist.